Then last night, in what was a major loss for consumers, screwed over by big banks, the Senate, with a tie-breaking vote from Mike Pence, voted to allow banks and credit card companies to continue using something called mandatory arbitration agreements. Isn't it funny that most of the bad legislation that we've seen usually gets passed in the middle of the night? By a party line tiebreaker vote from Mike Pence. It was like, what, 3-4 votes now from Mike Pence that came and broke the tie? This is unprecedented. Now, this latest one, as I said, is a big giveaway to credit card companies and banks. Now, what this does is it basically ensures that financial companies can continue to block their customers from doing large class action lawsuits. Now, here's some more context into the rule that they had supposedly, or that they had actually nixed. Back in July, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which was created under the Obama administration, had issued a rule blocking financial services companies from forcing customers into individual arbitration in their contracts. Now, corporations love these arbitration contracts because, for one, they can avoid costly class action lawsuits, and they also don't have to be as accountable. And also, there's a lot of benefits of arbitration. I'm going to get into that. But first, the Trump administration had fought to stop the rule from taking effect as planned. And now, of course, this basically ensures that it will not go into effect. Now, the White House issued a statement saying that Congress stood up for everybody, or everyday consumers and community banks and credit unions instead of the trial lawyers. Oh, it's the trial lawyers' fault. Who would have benefited the most from the CFPB's uninformed and ineffective policy? Of course. No, hey guys, we're fighting for the little guy. We're draining the swamp. Really? Well, it turns out that arbitration, like I said, has little chance of helping the little guy. In 2015, a New York Times investigation found that arbitration often bears little resemblance to court. Unlike open court, arbitration judges are generally hired by the company accused of doing wrongdoing, and the decisions are usually not made public. Anthony Klein, a California appeals court judge, told the Times back in 2015, quote, "Private judging is an oxymoron. This is a business, and arbitrators have an economic reason to decide in favor of the repeat players." So, yes, but let's just let the companies I want to sue hire an arbitrator, and I'll trust him to make the best decision. A fair and impartial ruling. Yeah, that'll work out. And actually, for companies, it absolutely works out in their favor. Now, the CFPB estimates that the rule would have cost the U.S. financial sector less than $1 billion per year. In 2016, banks alone made more than $170 billion. Now, it's also found that class action lawsuits provided about $220 million per year to 6.8 million consumers. In the cases that it studied, which works out to about $32 per customer on average. Arbitration, meanwhile, had awarded customers over $5,300 on average, but the CFPB identified only 16 people per year who benefited. So, yes, more people happen to benefit from class action than arbitration. That means that arbitration is heavily skewed in the corporation's favor. Now, an Economic Policy Institute report showed that consumers only win about 9% of arbitration cases, while banks almost always win when they issue counterclaims, with the consumer paying, on average, $7,725. So, arbitration clearly favors the banks. Now, here's a good example. In 2015, a judge dismissed a suit against Wells Fargo because of the arbitration clauses in customers' contracts. As a result, customers have been left with fewer options to hold Wells Fargo accountable. Remember, they opened up a bunch of fraudulent accounts in people's names and started charging them fees. It's like, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this account. Why are you charging me fees? I'm not going to pay this. And look, those overcharges or those fees and things, those can end up impacting people's credit reports, making them ineligible to get car loans or bank loans at low interest rates or even home loans. So that has a negative, detrimental impact on people's financial well-being. even if it is a small claim. Oh, it's only a $30 transfer or $30 fee or $100 fee. And that's what's important about these class action lawsuits, because people aren't going to go and sue and do arbitration over $30. Most people will end up having to eat that $30. And that sucks. Class action, however, you get a lot of people together who have had something happen. Again, for example, the millions of people affected by the Wells Fargo creating those fake accounts, they could get together and they could do a class action lawsuit. And they would get probably very small claims back. And what that would also do, other than, give people some restitution, it would also force Wells Fargo to try and change and do something different, because they were actually held accountable. But these banks, they don't want to be held accountable. And that's the problem. This rule being destroyed, right, will prevent those wrong from pursuing their own legal rights. And in practice, it actually alters the law to make small claims virtually unenforceable. That's the impact of this. Make no mistake, this is a gigantic win for Wall Street and corporate America, and a huge loss for anybody who's ever been wronged by the banks. Donald Trump said he was gonna look out for the little guy, and he was gonna hold people accountable. I don't know. Doesn't seem like it. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.